computer. Hi, I'm Elaine Brewster, and this is Aspects of Energy, a forum where we talk about ways to raise your energy. As you can see, my cute little turkey here, it is now November. And in America, in Canada, they already just had theirs, and now in the southern part of North America, whatever, we're going to have ours. And I have realized that being thankful makes you a different kind of person. And being thankful and having gratitude is often the first step toward humility and toward searching out and reaching out to others, because you know you can't do it all yourself. And so today, as a presenter, we have Hattiejane Darracott. And she started nursing actually when she volunteered at age 15, became a nurse, is an RN, has gone into some things that are an extension of nursing or health, which is natural. And so I would just like Hattiejane to just share kind of her experience, and she'll share gratitude along with it.
Thank you, Elaine. Um, and I warn you all, it will be rambly. I never can go in a straight line. That's just times. You say, well, you just got to take me to find me. Um, and that's the way I had to live my life because I was blessed with multiple allergies that would make me sneeze and wheeze and sneeze, wheeze, get and really feel yucky. So if they couldn't take being around me, they were stuck because I was there. You know, they enforced us. You had to be in class, so I was there for all of my life until I was nearly 50. So my personality, many of my traits, and so forth, pretty well formed. Um, and I had a reality that was not diagnosed until I was 50, which they call ADD. And in that reality of how you think about things and how you understand and learn things, there are certain things that don't come spontaneously. Your memory doesn't always hold immediately. You have to go back and do it again and do it again. And if you get bored easy, well, that's kind of hard. You kind of make do with what you do, remember, and other people cope. And it also makes learning a bit difficult because by the time you're learning, oh, you got those patterns going pretty good. But you're supposed to remember what you remember. So I did manage to pass schooling. But over the years, my schooling, as I entered the professional area, became a little bumpy. You start a bit, you drop back, and you start again, you drop back, and you start again. So I have licensure, well, not exactly licensure, but I had a number of hours, a large number of hours as a volunteer, and spent 15 working in the hospitals, bedside, after school, on weekends. And then I went I could see nursing was a pretty intense type of area, and I liked it. But then I thought I would go into maybe secretarial work. That would give me a wider range. And I really didn't know exactly what profession I wanted to go to, and it seemed a waste of money to go to 4 years not knowing what I wanted. So I went to secretarial. It took me 3 attempts to pass grammar in English. I still can't do it too well. So it's like, okay, then we go back again. I worked as a nurse's aide in a local hospital and thoroughly enjoyed it. So started in a professional trip, which took me to that, and then took me from one school and then as an LPN and then as an RN as I went through different trainings and drop back and go again, drop back and go again until I steadily reached the area being an RN with a BSN. And then I started working and thoroughly enjoyed it and did what I wanted to do, which was to travel. And so I worked in the American University of Beirut, Lebanon, as an RN in the recovery room. And I began to be a little more sensitive to what my father had lived through in the war because they were a little bit disruptive over there. They had gone through their first intense civil war, but things were still not too stable. And they definitely weren't economically stable. So we could see the bombed out buildings, the bombed things. And I thought the folks were so orderly when I arrived because they would stop by these variety of checkpoints as you went into the city from the airport. I thought, oh, how neat and organized these people are. Mm-hmm. Well, in the recovery room, I found out I helped take care of the people who got shot because they moved off too soon or they got in the crossfire of such a situation. Went, oh, okay. I didn't read that situation that right. And I understood more my father's reality that he had lived through. And he came into Arkansas after the Second World War and picked up my mother and I, and they were reunited, and we traveled to Korea. Mm-hmm. And so in 46, I was in Seoul, Korea, where I had seen my first dead body. It's definitely not my last, but my first dead body out in the street, and lots of odds and ends living through. So, and they didn't have ice cream. And I couldn't go barefoot. I didn't like that. But anyway, we all survived that. We're back. But in nursing, I found an area in which I could be helpful to people. And I was fascinated with the different aspects of our human reality as human beings. And helping people get through whatever crisis they were in because they were in a hospital setting. Predominantly 80% of my hospital experience has been bedside and teaching hospitals. And I gravitated to the surgical area because medicine was too boring. And basically, probably I couldn't remember all the medicines and their ups and downs to be really interested in doing that nature of work. Surgery was faster, surgery was more innovation, and the body is beautiful. In surgery, we cover the body with towels and so forth and things so that the immediate area is free of contaminations of germs. And the surgeon slices that down and opens you up, and everybody's red. Everybody is red and wiki and then you slice it and you see this organ that you've read about and you see it, but there it's going bloop, 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 or whatever. Oh, the guts are pretty when they go there. Things. So it was just continuing to be fascinating, not only with what I could help with, but what I learned and saw. So as time went by, as I aged and getting around the different works we had to do, and when I had gone into nursing as a professional and to get my work toward an RN, I chose the baccalaureate program because it was already hard enough learning problems. So I went to a college. And now I'm going to keep my train of thought there. I just went somewhere. Hang in there. I don't know where I was going right there, but let me come back. So basically, my training and my education was as a variety, and it was having to do with surgical. I also took a minor in psychology because I was curious about how do we interact with people. Because another little problematic thing is that with ADD, sometimes with ADD, you don't pick up subtle clues. You just don't see them. And so therefore your interactions with people are kind of like a little off center, which makes them kind of wonder about you. But then we all get along anyway, eventually. But so surgery was fascinating because it was more rapid paced than medicine. And the psychological was helping people. And what did the doctor say? What does this mean? Oh, I feel so bad. Can I just stand here? And I hung on to you. And they did, and I could. And people loved, I know I was there, but people liked my back rubs from when I was an aide. And that was our personal, that was what we did. We went out and helped people tidy up and we helped them relax with a good back rub. Didn't do that after you get your RN so much. But still, when I would do hands-on care, people would respond in a way that they felt more comfortable. Not with everything, but more times than not, which was cool. So when I looked around, going around at that age, I was already over 50. And aging wasn't going to stop unless there was no longer a problem. So I chose to go into the profession of massage therapy because it would get out of the way of my being able to communicate. People would understand me, and I could work with my hands, and I could work with what I love best, which was helping people feel better. I didn't go into the curative aspect of that because of my work, they would get better. I was always more concerned to take them where they were at so they had more comfort to be in themselves because of what work I could do. And that led me along the line into doing work with what we call energy. We came up early on, the nursing profession was going into therapeutic touch, which is not quite like Reiki. And yet it is because we're working entirely off the body. We're working with these subtle realities that if you rub your hands warm, and you rub them together like that, and then you hold them next to each other, and then you wonder, well, what's that subtle sensation I feel between my hands? You sometimes can go out so that you're quite far apart and you're still feeling something subtle. It's almost like you're patting a soft rabbit, but it's between your hands. And that is the aspect of what we were doing with therapeutic touch. So virtually working off the body. In massage school, I went into working on the body, in the body. And in the Japanese, working energy with the body, went into the Shiatsu, which is actually touching the body in a specific manner, much as your acupuncture meridians go, and which is actually treating the body in a way so it promotes the body energy to move in a way that your body functions better. So when it came up, I was doing all of this and thoroughly enjoying the process. Because when I was working and going to school at the same time, just as I had my college days, working full time in the operating room and going to college full time. So I was always learning, always finding new ways, always curious in aspect, always trying to lay down memory so I could remember what I learned. And coming back again. So I was multi-layer learning, I would say I did. So when in massage school, because they acknowledged up front that we did have energy fields, that we were interacting with energy fields, not only of ours, but of our clients, that again integrated me more into understanding more than just the beautiful physical content that I was able to visually see when we slice people open to do all sorts of surgeries. And it's just another layer of what we are as humanity. Now, this is all to go to the point of this thing about gratitude. Because as I had graduated, I was working and developing a practice in Northeast Washington where I had bought my first house. Woo! Probably my only house, but I had bought it. And my mother was showing signs of having some difficulties in things that didn't quite make sense. And it was obvious she's having some memory issues and some other things. And so in getting her evaluated consistently, it became apparent through because I would go out and be sure I was with her. I would either take her or I would be sure I'd be riding along with her on her doctor's appointments. And over the time, we clarified for sure that she was on the journey of Alzheimer's, and that was real. And it was coming up the time in which she was showing that it was not going to be safe for her to be managing herself in her home. And there was two choices, either to plan on that she would eventually would not be able to live in her home and to have to live in a facility, or somebody was going to have to live with her. And at that was the time when I worked on me. It was very definite that I would be living with her because that's the way things were. My brothers were here during my dad's illness and his final years with cancer and heart. And I was off in Beirut.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my turn. Besides, that's the way Mother expected it, and I did too. And she has been such a support for so many ways, and so many, and continues to be. So, okay, I got to move home. Shut down my house in DC and move out to Mom's. And I tidy up the house. So eventually, after I'd been there a while, eventually I was continuing to work as a massage therapist. I was volunteering in a small clinic in the city with folks from El Salvador and other adjacent Central American things as a clinic nurse, and helping develop more and more of that clinic. Never as the primary nurse, but as the auxiliary assistant throughout the whole different processes. I'm back to working in a downtown store as an in-store massage therapist. Thoroughly enjoying it, thinking I could pay these people to let me do this. Oh, no. It's taking me a while. And even now I still have trouble charging for what I enjoy doing so much. Because when I met another aspect of a post-retirement opportunity, it would meet my enjoyment of helping people. It would meet my thoroughly enjoyment of people understanding more what they were going through so they could go on and live better lives. Not teaching them how to, but being there at a time in which I could help negotiate some of those rockier paths. And hopefully they could go on. And doing meantime, getting a salary. And in working store, I got a salary. That was cool. But it was the kind of time the rubber was hitting the road, so to say. This was not a possibility someday. It was here. So I looked at my own personality, my own interactions with people, and I have a tendency to get ticked off and get furious from 1 to 10. In fact, and I still can. I got a couple holes in the wall. So I knew that was not going to work if I was going to be primary manager, Mother's healthcare, and possibly in-house, because my mother was a very different personality. Very, very reserved, very dignified, very constant in how things should look and act. It was so different from me. So I knew I was going to have to face that personality of myself. And so at that point, I decided that this was going to be difficult, and I had to find a way to approach it. So I chose that I would be grateful for the challenge, whatever challenge came my way. And in order to do that, I had to be able to say, this is a challenge, and what does it teach me? It's taught me a whole lot of stuff. Of course, you can see my pattern of learning. It didn't take a short time. Mom died in 2008. And I was constantly practicing all the way through that time since I went out to live with her. And which was mid-90s. So it took a while. And I tend to, when I'm helping someone, as I did my mother, my focus becomes what are their needs. And I come very comfortable with that because that's meeting what I like to do. But then I forget me, or I put me aside physically. So I had a lot of practice emotionally, and it was a great trip. Wound up having to be in the hospital because I wouldn't take her cigarettes away from her. Of course, by that time I was buying them at the grocery store. So, but I wound up in the hospital with some unknowing lung realities, and was discharged on oxygen. It took me a while to get off of that. And my brothers had to come to the house and look at her mother during that time, because by that time it was strictly a one-on-one situation. And since then, it's come very much in handy, because a variety of challenges in life, a variety of problems, and I didn't get any younger. Despite our anti-aging possibilities, I still am nearly 80. So that's neat. I'm aiming toward my hundreds. Let's see if I can make it. Hope y'all are there when I get there. Anyway, so it's like, okay, we say to ourselves, write a gratitude journal. Be grateful. It's not automatic. And what in the hell should I be grateful for if somebody is putting me down, or if I'm in a situation in which I find not my preferred situation? Why should I be grateful for that? Well, that's where my looking at what does it teach me about myself came in handy. And I started being aware of boundaries. I put boundaries on everybody else and my allergies and kind of keeping them at bay. And working in a position, in a job that I was needed. They needed me to be there. And I had my needs met to get a salary and like what I was doing. But this was different. This was me 24/7, and this is me out in a world that doesn't need me. They can go someplace else. This is mother, and she was forgetting what was one thing to the next, so that worked out well. And as I said, that's what allowed me to look at things, to be more grateful, as opposed to resenting them, feeling put upon, avoiding them. Well, I don't know. This is my first time I've ever talked about any of this anywhere. So this is another part. I'm not avoiding. Thank you for the invite. And I had no total idea what I was going to tell you all today. But that's my story.
That's a wonderful story, Hattiejane. That's very inspiring to us. Just to see the many paths that you went on. And for me, sometimes I get so familiar with my own story that I forget that other people's stories are vastly different than mine.
We all do.
Yeah, that's really.
We all do.
I'm wondering if there are some other people on this lovely panel today that have some thoughts about gratitude and gratitude in the face of adversity.
Yeah, Hattiejane, that was a wonderful story. I can just picture you out in that world of learning, and even with the challenges that you face during that period, and taking on so much different fields, and obviously just growing. And then at the end, just recognize how grateful even the most difficult times that you learned from them. It certainly to me has been a different way of looking at gratitude and appreciating the difficult times. I really enjoyed listening to your story, and I feel that it's really helped me to kind of redefine the word gratitude. Every morning I write, something in my gratitude book about how well I sleep and all the mundane things, but and you have to do that every day in order to keep on top of the events that's around you. But it's just given me a different perspective of the appreciation of being in that state of gratitude during difficult times. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful, wonderful story. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lorraine. Anybody else have some thoughts?
Well, if we can't kick anybody in the butt, they're all got the things close. There's another aspect that some of you may know, you may not, and that one of the things that came into my life during this study of massage and getting back into really working energy was that I was introduced to this company, that I chose that this would be my way of taking care of myself in my retirement, because it was a money generating opportunity that also met my needs to be useful and helpful in a way in which I had participated all my life and I thoroughly enjoyed, and I could continue to do that. And it was a company out of Japan, which kind of tied in well with our Korean and Second World War bit, and the Shiatsu and the therapeutic touch, because it dealt with energy. And it dealt with a company that found a way to facilitate the human body to access its energy in the way in which it interacts with our physiological reality. We identified it, we thought of it early on, kind of studied it and learning about it, and that you just weren't as tired, that you could do more things, your focus was better. The muscle aches and things that if you get into heavy physical work were less lasting. We felt more comfortable faster. And some of the discomforts we were feeling, actually, we could use an external product from this company, and we didn't have to go and take the pills from the over the counter or ask our physicians for a prescription in order to meet that discomfort. Okay, cool. Back in 1995, because of my experience in nursing and because of my experience in studying Shiatsu, I didn't know if the American public were really ready for this. But the Japanese territory had brought Sony, had brought Toyota in, and it vastly affected what we like because they brought us some good stuff. And one thing about Americans, they do like good stuff. And so I figured, yep, this was going to be an opportunity that I could survive with. And so I joined them back then, and ever since I have. But I thought because of when they found out, yeah, this stuff works, because I felt the difference. I thought, oh, my patients. Oh, I'm a surgical unit. We've got people dealing with pain periodically, pain that is not a chronic situation, although I know a lot of that too, but pain that is due to surgery and due to complications of surgery. They can reach for things. They can keep at the bedside. They know how they feel. And they won't be trapped into waiting for me to come and deal with all my other patients, be able to bring them their discomfort relief. And so that's what I was thinking at the time. And then I got into it and I started using the products. And bit by bit, my body responded and revealed to me things that my energy interactions, my symptomology improved. For the first time in my life, I could do something external that I didn't sneeze my head off with. I didn't have to take a chemical that affects other aspects of my being and thinking and looking. I could do this externally. And doing it externally, because remember, memory's not too sharp, too fast, even then, I could link, okay, well, you're out there and that causes you with that cedar tree and you're trimming it so it looks prettier and you sneeze your head off, so you just keep the Kleenex coming and going. Well, the Kleenex stayed in the pocket. That wasn't totally clear, but I didn't have the Kleenex out. And that was monumental because otherwise it would have been. And when another time, as I was using different products that we have, because I'm still in it, I was laying down, and at that time, in that particular time of the year, I had to sleep with my head elevated on a wedge. Because if I laid flat, I didn't feel I could breathe. And definitely, I wasn't sneezing. I was sneezing loud enough that they heard it the block out. But anyway, do the product. And my head and my face felt different lying on it. And it felt like I was flaming hot. It felt like something was happening. It was strange. So I felt like I was flaming hot, but I also could take the wedge out and lay down flatter. I was still flaming hot, a little confusion. So I get out the mirror to take a look at myself. Well, you're not flaming red. You're not dripping anything. That's weird. So I lay there and I just waited to see what was happening. And it felt really weird. It felt like a cool breeze through me, like somewhere up there, somewhere out. And I became aware that suddenly my nasal passages accepting air felt like they were like air was passing over marble. My sinuses and my nasal passages the swelling had reduced, and so they're wide open and comfortable. And the air was passing into my body through my nose. And the first time I left my mouth shut. And that really kept my attention. And so over the years, I found other little things that happen and so forth that allow me insight to understand what's happening in my body so I can make different interventions. And the very first time I became aware of it, there was also this sense of hope. Because as an aging individual with my own health issues, I wasn't being a real perky one, physically strong type thing. But there was a hope. There was a door of hope that opened inside me that in the future, I would be able to take care of myself and keep my independence. This is not just my mom who's independent. Keep my independence and be able to live happy in the future. So it's like, and that has not gone away.
Wow.
So.
Wow. And that creates a huge gratitude that you can take care of yourself. Are you really you're not near 80.
I was born in 1942 in March.
You were. Well, that would be next March. Wow. That's fabulous. Thank you. A Boy Scout round of applause. Thank you so much. This has been really interesting. This will be fun to re-listen to, and it's fun to share this time with all of you. Well, go out at the beginning of this month. It's just the 5th of December. And, and find some other people in your life that you can share gratitude with. They will just love to see the smile on your face, and they'll hear it if you call them up on the phone. Okay, appreciate all of you. And thank you again, Hattiejane, and all of you. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.